Kia ora, and welcome to Tuesday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we start with news of elevated global uncertainty that is pushing up prices for key minerals sharply today. Wall Street is of two minds about the risks and opportunities. But first in the US, the ISM manufacturing PMI contracted for a third consecutive month in December to its lowest level since October 2024, and lower than expected. Manufacturing activity contracted at a faster rate, led by pullbacks in production and inventories. Price pressures remained elevated. On the other hand, this survey shows new orders contracting less in December and new export orders staying quite low. This ISM result was much more sombre than the earlier S&P Global Factory PMI for the US, which was still expanding in December, but fell from November to its weakest expansion in the current 5-month growth phase. New orders declined for the first time in a year, while exports fell for a 7th consecutive month, weighed down by the consequences to costs from tariff taxes and trade frictions. And staying in the US, their vaccine-sceptic administration has opened the door to a moderately severe flu outbreak this year. Moderately severe is their description. The US Centers for Disease Control estimates the season's toll so far of at least 11 million illnesses, 120,000 hospitalizations, and 5,000 deaths. Last year, the CDC estimated at least 5.3 million illnesses, 63,000 hospitalizations, and 2,700 deaths in the equivalent period. In China, the private S&P Global Services PMI expanded modestly in December, but the survey also noted that business activity and sales both rose at their slowest rates in 6 months. Job shedding persists. Output price inflation fell for a second time in 3 months. This private services PMI, however, is more upbeat than the official version. Indonesia reported its exports slumped in November following a smaller retreat in October and coming in much worse than market forecasts. Exports to China were a key driver of the pullback, both for oil and non-oil exports. This is their steepest drop since February 2024. And Singaporean retail sales were unchanged in November from October, but given November 2024 was a weak month, that means they were up 6.3% from a year earlier to be their strongest growth since February 2024. In Europe, after a 2-year transition, they now have the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism fully in force. That requires importers of steel, aluminium, cement, fertiliser and electricity to purchase certificates to cover the carbon emissions embedded in their products. The mechanism is designed to force importers to pay the difference between the carbon price of the country of production and in the EU, trying to prevent carbon leakage, which is when companies based in the EU move carbon-intensive production abroad to take advantage of lax standards. But countries like China and the US are not happy. In Australia, a key industry lobby group has warned the power grid is not ready for projected growth in capacity demands for their data centres. They say the consequences could be severe for homes and businesses. And staying in Australia, a large high in the Tasman Sea is bringing settled weather to New Zealand, but is blocking cooling relief in Australia. They now say New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia will get searingly hot days, warm nights and elevated bushfire risks later this week. The forecast is for daytime highs to be 8 to 16 degrees above average, and night minimums to be 10 to 15 degrees above average. And we should note that copper has surged to a new record high of over $13,000 a tonne. Nickel has surged recently too, now at a 1-year high. And we should also probably note that the Chinese iron ore prices are not falling, holding at a similar level they've been since early 2024. And the US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.16%, down 3 basis points from this time yesterday. And the price of gold will start today at $4,442 an ounce, and up $112 from yesterday, and heading back up towards its record high. Silver is up to $76.50 an ounce, also back to its record high, and platinum is now at $2,269 an ounce and making the same upward shift. American oil prices are up 50 cents from yesterday at just on $58 a barrel, while the international Brent price is now just over $61.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is up another 20 basis points from yesterday, now just under 57.9 US cents. against the Aussie were unchanged at 86.2 Australian cents. Against the euro were also up 20 basis points at 49.4 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just under 61.9 and up 20 basis points from yesterday. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $94,143 and up a strong 3.1% from yesterday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest though, at just on plus or minus 1.8%. You can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.